Okay, 7:15, time for the meeting. At this time, we usually have public session. I have a sign-up sheet here. There's 7 people signed up, and if you haven't signed up, I will ask at the end if you haven't signed up, if somebody wanted to speak. So we'll hear everybody that wants to say something. So the first name I see here is George Valentine. Please come up to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor Cordino. I'm George Valentine of 228 East 5th Street. My wife and I have owned the property for about 30 years. I'm stopping in because I'm concerned about the assessment issue. I'm sure you've heard that a few times. But I'm mostly concerned about what I consider to be political community theater. A few weeks ago, when Mr. Barnett joined the others representing GAR Associates, he wagged his finger at us folks back here in the peanut gallery, and he said in his sarcastic and snarky way that there was going to be trouble in River City, that unless we acted quickly, unless we could find an expert staff to help out in the reassessment of our properties, the state of New York was going to come down hard and there'd be trouble here in our city. Mr. Hill concurred as part of that group that was meeting. And they sat there largely washing their hands of the situation. It's not our fault that we're going to do this reassessment because it's the state of New York. It's the calendar. It's the assessment that needs to be done. It's not my fault. Don't talk to me. To Mr. Hill's credit, he later came back and started to help people, and he helped dozens of people. But the problem is there's hundreds of people, hundreds of taxpayers, hundreds of families that are being affected by the great inflation in their assessments. And it's incumbent on the City Council to try to alleviate that, to try to address that. Really, although I thought that the play started with that group, it really started 2 years before in the Administrative Services Committee that, of course, Mr. Cordino chaired at the time. And Mr. Plunkett was in, and Mr. Burridge, and so on. And Mr. Hill, too, as well. And we were told again, and you were told at that meeting by the former assessor, that we'd better move pretty quickly because there was a problem coming up and we were going to have to be reassessed, do a citywide assessment, and we'd have to find experts in the field to do something about it, or else there'd be trouble in River City. Nothing against Mr. Plunkett or Mr. Cordino or any of the others who were there. We were scared to death that there would be trouble from it, and we didn't quite know what kind of trouble. But the city had to move quickly. In fact, the city moved in record time. In less than a month, there was a resolution for $75,000 to go to GAR Associates. And of course, the bill has just grown substantially from that, hundreds of thousands of dollars to the good folks at GAR. One thing about that committee meeting, the first one, all the other committee meetings beforehand were signed by Sidney Bangano. That was the first case where it was not signed, that first time when the assessor came. I'm not sure the significance of that, but it was significant in my research on it. Again, as time went by, there was more hand-wringing. It's not us. We're powerless. The City Council, in fact, I wrote to each one of you, and I said, is the City Council powerless? And I got in touch with the tax and finance people in Albany, and I asked them, and they said no. The municipality has a lot of leeway in what they can do. They could stall things. They could pause, to use a phrase from the petition that was passed around. There was a number of things that the city of Oswego could do to help out the folks who didn't have the resources, time to help effectively challenge the assessments that they had. Some of those assessments went up, some of them went down. But hundreds and hundreds of them, especially in my beloved 6th Ward, went really high, doubled. Mine, for instance, went over 130%. I have to again thank Assessor Hill, because I was able to sit down with him and we were able to bring it down from 130% to 70%. And he's really, as I've mentioned earlier, he's helped dozens and dozens of people. But what about the other folks? What about the single parents that are trying their best to afford to pay the taxes and are facing challenges that you can understand? If you're a retired police officer, say, and you've helped people in the worst day of their lives, now they're elderly and they have trouble maintaining the house. They find that there's syringes in the city park just down the block. And they know that the property values have gone down, but it's not reflected in the assessments. What if you're an engineer and you understand what it's like buying that first house, and you understand the trial that you go through and the excitement you have in putting the word sold on the front yard? But now they're facing 130, 150, 200% increase in their assessments, and they don't have the time or resources or knowledge to go ahead and learn the language of assessment, to make comparisons, so that when they make those comparisons and they bring them up to the GAR associates, the experts in another city, that they can effectively argue. All they need is time. What if you're a teacher and you see the effect that it has on the kids in your class? When there's tension in the house and they don't know whether or not to sell their house because they just can't afford the homeowner's insurance that went up, the city taxes that went up, the other taxes that they're facing now, knowing that really these assessments are out of whack with what they need, with what they can see in their own eyes. What if you're helping another landlord and your job is to help them to expand and to support those residences that you have, and you know that you're going to have to increase the rent? You know that you're going to have a different type of renter than you have in 2024 because largely of the changes in the assessments. Let me see. This debate will dissipate with time. There'll be fewer people in the back here as people try to solve how they're going to deal with the increased assessments that they face this year, maybe next year, maybe the next. But you'll be able to see those people when you go grocery shopping. You'll see that elderly man and wife who just can't take care of the assessments like they used to. You'll see the students in class who just can't, who see the tension that it builds in the family. You'll see that, and you'll know that you have to do right by those people. As I said before, you have to give respect to the people who own the commercial properties. I appreciate that. You have to give credit and attention to the kingmakers of the political parties in the community. You owe them your respect, not your fear, but your respect. But you also owe your respect to those people who just can't fight the assessments just yet. Please, if there's a way that you can, to delay, not to go after, not to throw out the whole thing. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for responding to my email that I sent. And you said, how can we in good conscience throw out this whole thing for people who, that's not my point. My point is that we can keep those people locked in, but there are people out there who just can't afford, don't have the resources or the time or ability to challenge. If they had a bit more time, then you can look those people in the face at the grocery store and in the parks years from now because you did right by them. Don't scrap the work that GAR did. We paid for it. Lord, did we pay for it. But give these people some more time. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you. Next person on the list is Bill Meyer.
Hi, my name is Bill Meyer. I live at 38 Singleton Street. I don't know if any thought was given to, or if you even know, that reading the government census report, there's 16,931 residents, or 100% of the population of Oswego. 25.4% of our residents are in or below the poverty level. That combined with 17.6% of our residents who are 65 or older, most of which I would guess are retired and on a fixed income. This equates to 7,276 of our residents are either retired or most likely on a fixed income or at or below poverty level. Where do you think that 43% of our residents are going to come up with the extra money to pay for tax increase? Has anyone thought of that? One subject that has not been discussed is that, again, according to the census report, there are 12.7% of the city's population under the age of 65 that have a disability. This equates to 2,149 residents. Do we know how many of these residents are property owners? If we add the numbers that I mentioned a minute ago and add these numbers, we could be talking up to 55.7% or 9,425% or 425 residents on some kind of fixed income. Again, I ask, was this ever given any consideration or even looked into? We've also heard from several residents concerned about the amount of rental properties in their neighborhoods. Look at the 2020 census report and you'll understand why they are concerned. Because according to the census report reveals that there are 7,353 households in the city. The percentage of owner-occupied housing is 49.1%, or 3,610 households, or less than half are owner-occupied, and 50.9% are rentals or not occupied. That's 3,743. Are we trying for a total rental city? We've been told that the last citywide assessment was done in 1997. If you look at the equalization rate from 1996 and saw that it was 8.61, you can understand why an assessment might be called for. However, that figure went from 8.61 to 189.93 in 97. That's quite an increase. In 98, the equalization rate was 188.35. It went to 100% in 1999 and 2000. Then it dropped to 97.48 in 01 and 92.61 in 02. Follow me now, because this is where it gets interesting. In 2003, the equalization rate went to 100% and stayed at 100% until 2022, or 18 years. In 2022, the equalization rate went to 92%, and in 23, it dropped to 83%. We have been told that we need a reassessment to make assessments more fair and equitable and bring the equalization rate to 100%. We have also been told that 22% of the property owners have been paying too much. 22% is less than 1/4 of property owners. We couldn't have reassessed these properties without a citywide reval. As far as the equalization rate, it was 100% for 18 years. And then when our administration told us that we needed a reassessment, it dropped to 92%, and then we needed to bring the rate to 100% when it was already there. I don't know how or why the rate dropped, but it seems funny it did drop. And then we heard this concern about equalization. Let's recap from the last couple of meetings. The state does not require municipalities to do reassessments. Administration was in the 5th or 6th year. If this was needed to be done so badly, why wasn't it done sooner? No public information sessions before reassessment letters came out. State of the city speeches telling us that we don't need to raise taxes and we have plenty of reserve in the reserve fund. Post-COVID housing prices are at an all-time high. This wasn't a money grab, but the city could realize $1 million or more. We could have up to 50% of our residents at a fixed income. Equalization rates were at 100% for 18 years. Equalization rates changed the other reassessment was voted on. There's a saying in the old country, if it looks like a skunk and smells like a skunk, it's probably a skunk. And let me tell you, this stinks. Counselors, this is not about party affiliation or a few influential citizens. This is about the hardworking people of Oswego not being able to afford their houses or their rents. I will leave with this. Remember, the people of Oswego, when they voted you in, they put their faith, trust, and confidence in you to not only run our city, but to look out for the well-being of the people of Oswego. Thank you for giving this time to express my opinions.
Next on the list is Jim Tovey.
Hi there. This is my third time talking. I wrote it down because I always forget half of what I want to say, and then I sit down and think, what the heck did you do, Jim?
Can you move that microphone down a little? Thank you.
Okay. I live at 8.5 Lathrop Street. It's a one-block street, runs from Bridge Street down to Oneida. That's it. 14 homes, 8 of which are still owned by people, where the others are rentals. The other 6 are all rentals. I'm in the middle of a transitional neighborhood, you might say. This is my house. This is my house. I paid $61,000 for this. $61,000 for this house in 1994. I just got my job with auxiliary services. My wife was pregnant. I was so happy I was able to afford a house. I bought the house. Had a 30-year mortgage, 7% interest. And I paid it off 3 years early because when I retired, I just took some of my retirement money and paid it off. So I don't have that bill anymore, at least. But this is my house. It's a wood frame house. It has a stone basement that covers 2/3 of the house. The other third is just a crawl space. So of course the house leans to the north where it's a crawl space. And I don't know if you can imagine my shock when in March I got my notice saying that my house was now worth $135,000. That's a 125% increase, more than doubled. And I actually skipped the GAR thing because I don't trust them further than I can throw them. So I've already filled out my assessment challenge, handed that in Monday. But when I was doing my own, again, I'm not a professional, when I did my own research, I found out by looking up my house on 3 different sites, you couldn't get more than $110,000 for it. Not the 130 that they say, the most at the high end was $110,000. Then I went and said, okay, houses, because I'm trying to build up my proof for my, why this is wrong, this is crazy. I looked up on sites for houses recently sold that they consider similar to mine. Not one of them was over $110,000. Not one. Where's the extra $25,000 coming from? Is this like the Trump version of, let's move it to the highest amount we can and that's it? I'm just using his as an example. So anyways, why am I here? I'm not a political person. I don't have an axe to grind. I'm not running for office. I'm an old person. I'm what Richard Nixon used to refer to as the silent majority. I don't say anything. You just sit there, you pay your bills, you do your stuff, you work, you raise your kids, and that's it. And I went out and talked to some of my fellow neighbors, do you have the same thing I got, And they did too. And I said, well, I don't think that's fair. That's just not fair. But they said, well, of course, you can't fight City Hall. You can't fight City Hall. I said, I don't know about that. Because again, I like old things. I felt like I was Jimmy Stewart from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. He's a innocent guy sent off to Washington to be a senator. He doesn't know what's going on. He's not going to work for their grifting and their whatever. It was a very bad situation, whatever. And he's not going to do it, so they basically are going to...
Public session is for the residents to speak their mind, and we will hear them out.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm taking your time. I'm sorry I'm taking your time.
I heard the political speech, I heard stories about movies. I'm just, one really quick.
I'm trying to make a theme to my speech, sir. The theme is that, as Jimmy Stewart says in his speech to when he is being vilified, he says, "I guess it's just another lost cause." Some say that lost causes are the only ones that are worth fighting for, and that's what I'm fighting for. I consider this a lost cause, and I am fighting for it. I consider myself Jimmy Stewart. I am fighting this thing. That's why I came to these meetings. I have no political agenda. I'm not running for any office. All I'm saying is I don't think this is fair. May I continue?
Yes, you can continue.
Thank you. So I went to the first meeting, heard all kinds of other people who also had similar positions as mine, where their assessment either gone up or really gone up. And I left us thinking, well, maybe there's hope. Might be something. But then I came to the second meeting, and I was told that it's a it's done. It's a fait accompli. We can't do anything about it. We started the ball down the hill. It's got to keep going down the hill till it reaches its destination. And I still think that's just not as fair. And the second reason why I came here to speak is that I want to put a face to what is happening to this assessment problem. Look at this face, and I want you to think about me when you go and think about this assessment problem. I'm a textbook example of what happens to the American dream. You work hard, you buy a house, you raise a family, you retire, you hope to live out your time in your house that you bought, and then suddenly that's not going to be the case. I'm just frustrated. I don't think that the whole deal was fair. It's like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do a damn thing. I paid my taxes. Matter of fact, I paid my taxes on Monday. I paid my taxes. I do what I'm supposed to, and I'm hit with a $135,000 estimate of my house. And I got to pay. I had to come up and with another $1,500 next year to pay the supposed taxes on this house. And I just don't think it's fair. I think I was given the shaft.
Mary Louise Segal?
Hello, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Mary Louise Segatsos-Lamy. I owned Four Pond Path since 1986. I bought it for about $60,000. I'd just like to make a few points here. One, the increased assessment charges me more than my fair share of the entire pot. And my assessment increase was to $166,000. It was at 55. Two, I'm a retired single widow on a fixed income who cannot afford the increase. Three, I look to all of you to save me from losing my property. I've been here since 1970. Two of my children were born here. And thank you very much.
Josh Tavern?
Okay, so I've never really addressed any council members before. Mayor Cordino, I thank you for this. But, you guys are all representatives of the people. And I can tell you right now, at any point in time, you can put your resignation letter in. You definitely should not be rude to the public. It's pretty ridiculous. Secondly, what I wanted to talk about up here, which I'm nervous, so bear with me here. Watching the original council meeting where you guys, passed this GAR reassessment project, in that video file, it states, and the assessor states, that you guys do not have to adopt this. In the original video file, the original assessor, the previous assessor, stated that GAR is going to be the company that we're going to hire to do the assessment on our properties, and that it can be adopted, or you guys can vote it down to not be adopted. So why Kevin Hill made that statement during the Q&A, which I would love another Q&A, because, just that right there doesn't make any sense. And you guys paid GAR $75,000 according to the original meeting, but then you guys tell us that there's a $300,000 bill. But Mr. Cordino says that it was for the 2022 year, right? So was it $75,000 a year, or where did the extra $225,000 come from? Secondly, these assessments are crazy. My house appraised in 2023 for $80,000, and the assessment that I got on my house was $145,000 when I had an appraisal done by an appraiser, okay, to come into my house. The inside of my house was so far outdated that's why my appraisal came back at $80,000. In the original meeting, the list that you had asked the assessor, like what the project was going to entail, this company was going to have their feet on the ground, walking around, taking pictures of taking pictures of the neighborhoods, doing inventory of sheds, machine sheds. There's like numerous things that this company was supposed to do, and they failed. And you guys are still backing them. It blows my mind. And then I come back to this $225,000 extra charge, right? Our previous assessor was the one that went around and took all the photos of the property. So we were paying the previous assessor to go around, take the photos of the property, and then paying this company more money? More money? I don't understand it. And we definitely need another Q&A so we can get some explanations of where this money came from. It makes no sense. And I'm in a family of six. I have 4 kids, me, my wife, and I work for the school district. I don't make very much money. You guys are imposing like way more taxes on me. When I bought my house for $25,000 7 years ago, was forced by code enforcement to do work on my house, so I did. And then GAR Associates is quadrupling my value. I was assessed at $42,000 for that 7 years when I paid $25,000. Was I supposed to come down here and have my house revalued? You guys are saying that I haven't been paying my fair share. It's ridiculous. And now you guys want to way overtax me? You're going to make the youth of this city want to leave. This is crazy. You guys should really reconsider doing another Q&A, and you should also watch the original council video, because in it states that it is up to you guys to make the decision if we're going to adopt this or not. Thank you.
Gary Thompson is next.
Good evening, everybody. Was reading the newspaper the other day. Well, first I want to say thank you to Councilor Gozick and Vanucci for, you guys have been really hitting the streets, all the wards, talking to people, get them to come to talk to Kevin. And we know Kevin's been here since 1, 2 in the morning. So getting out and educating people is really awesome of you guys, and the other counselors have been reaching back to your people as well. In the paper the other day, we see a projected increase of 3.17% for the school district, which is normal, cost of everything goes up in contracts. But that right there throws our hypothetical numbers off that we got in the lottery right there, just like the guard guy said it would. that the budgets will determine what our final tax rate is. Well, if that passes, there's 3.17% more right there. So those 3,000 people that are facing a pretty stiff tax increase have to plan on even more of a hypothetical number. And also, Mayor, you spoke about, how it's important. We can make the assessment equalization rate whatever you want, but it was important to be 100%. Well, I spoke with Mayor Jim Rice in Fulton. They did a reval in 2022 for the 2023 roll, and he's predicting, their assessor's predicting that they're already going to be 86% for the 2025 roll. So it seems like this, with the market rates and everything else, that you guys will always be chasing 100%, and that's concerning for us also. So moving forward, I'm wondering what the plan is. How will this not happen again? As Fulton's going down to 86%, they're gonna, have to relook at things. What if we drop down to 86% again last year? The first meeting we had here, it was noted that we were at 86%, I believe, or 87, and that we needed to get to 100%. So if we drop again, how are you gonna get back to 100%? Are we gonna face another reval, right? Is this just gonna be a never-ending battle for us? And also, the city budget will also be important for our hypothetical numbers and our final numbers and the tax rate, I read the minutes and watch the meetings, and, we're always just amending budgets, like the gas bill at the DPW. That was huge. Let's just fund them more money. Yes, 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 without discussion. That stuff needs to be discussed a little bit more, because as we're getting pinched, you guys got to pinch the pennies too. And if you guys are going over on gas budgets, it's time to start looking at reducing the fleet. We're doing that at the state out at the college. We're reducing our fleet by half. One, for sustainability, and two, to try to reduce our deficit. So I'd like to see you guys start having more conversations in your committee meetings, how, instead of just pushing these amendments through, just keep funding more money, start shopping a little more, and try to save us a few bucks. Thank you. We appreciate everything you guys do.
Good. I have a Judy Kaninsky, I believe.
Okay. Mr. Mayor and council members and those seated, I'm coming today not with statistics, not with numbers, but with stories of the heart. I have heard other people come before you today and address how people are suffering and worried and concerned about the things that have occurred in the city with the assessments in this most recent future. Now, I've lived on Erie Street for 40 years. I'm a very active type person, so I'm out and about, and I've come to know my neighbors quite well. And over the years, I've seen them lose their husbands, their retirements funds go down less and less, and the real senior citizens, I'm here today to speak for them, the ones who are in their 90s that are my neighbors, because they are worried, they are afraid, and I'd like to speak on their behalf. Now, as you know, like all seniors, they're all on fixed incomes. However, if you retired 25 years ago and you're getting a pension from the state, let's say if you were a teacher, that isn't anything even capable of keeping up with the costs of living now. All right, very often they fail to qualify for any kind of additional programs, and and additional support sometimes aren't even at their access. I just want to give you a couple little stories. There's one lady, Joan, sweetest lady, 91 years old, lives up the street from me, visit her often, take my grandkids to read her stories, etc. All right. Now, she received her tax assessment, and she, you know, of course, she's very worried, limited income, all right? So, looked up what her assessment was and looked at some of the other properties, you know, near her, okay? Well, the property next door to her is a renovated rental with 2 apartments, and that one is assessed for way lower than her house. But her house, very similar, okay, had increased a doubled and a half assessment. And so therefore, it makes you wonder, what's going on here, you know? You know what, I liken it to this. I was a teacher, so I try to look for concrete examples, okay? All right, if you have a ruler and you're measuring something, and you take that ruler and you measure it, and it's so many inches, okay? Well, it seems like the system that GAR is using, they have a ruler in their computer, and they're measuring things. So if you have a 3-bedroom house with 2 bathrooms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it's worth that much money. However, they don't seem to be taking into account the neighborhoods they're in. So therefore, a house in one nice elite area, let's say of Oswego, maybe that one's worth $225,000, but because this ruler that's in the computer says another house maybe down near the college area or down near the lake, they have the same type of bathrooms, whatever, you know, in bedrooms, et cetera, and they're assessed for the same price. So it seems like the ruler is wrong because they're using the same ruler and they're not taking into account neighborhoods. So this is a perspective I have on it. Another thing, there's this process of appeals that people can go through. Well, I'll tell you, these 90s groups in my neighborhood, they are not going to be able to come. They don't have the resources, the ability, or anyone to really speak for them. Many of them have no relatives even remaining here in Oswego to speak for them. And it becomes overwhelming. And then I have another neighbor who has an invalid husband who has been down here several times because hers assessments have tripled, and she has to get someone to stay and come and care for her husband so she can come down here and wait in a 4-hour line to speak to someone. So the process that you're using isn't working to the advantage of the people in our community. And you need to do something different. Okay? You know, and then there's other neighbors who don't want to say a peep because they're afraid if they say something, you're going to come and assess them more, and they're going to even be more upset. So they're afraid. They're actually afraid. They're afraid to speak up. So please, see what you're doing to these people. That you're taking their lives. I know there's a process. You have a means that you want to do things. You know, well, really, taxes might not go up all that much, they say, okay? But to that senior, that paper, that's what they're reading. And they may not understand. You might try to explain it to them. But the process that you're using, the way you're approaching it, is not good for people. So please reconsider something different. All right, thank you.
That was the last person that was signed up. If there's anybody else that would like to speak, please come to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Okay. My name is John Glennon. I've lived here for about 55 years, raised my 4 kids here, had a business here, swept all your chimneys if you had chimneys. And I have worked as a businessman, and I know that I had to make a budget. And then I had to work with that budget. And we live in a country where we put representatives who are representing us, supposed to represent us. And it's not that we're working for some oligarch. We're not working for people outside. We're working for us who live here, who have our homes here. And for you to come along and hire somebody, really, to me, I just don't think that was a very wise decision to hire somebody from outside who is looking at, like the young lady was just speaking, looking at they have their little computerized thing, how many bathrooms, and then they come up with a number. So I get a letter, and telling me that, yes, now this has been accepted, and then they tell me, I've been, from 98 was the value of my house. It was the assessed value was 82, and now it's 149,000. And the increase of my taxes is going to be $820. Now I budget myself because I'm on a limited income. I get my Social Security, and I'm not able to work at this point. My wife and I both we look at how we can save and how we can, and I think that's so important for you because you represent us. You don't represent some oligarch. Just because the taxes are being boosted, here's the thing, I don't mind paying taxes. I don't, when I'm looking and seeing what the taxes are being spent on. But when I see it foolishly given to people who have broken the law to give here, and now they're going to move into, you look at what the craziness that's going on, and I say, you guys are our first defense. You're the ones who live here. You're the ones who should know us. You should be concerned about who we are. More so than somebody comes in here and decides that they deserve to have the money given to them because, after all, we're here. There's a lot of inequity, a lot of things that are going on, and it's making your constituents just not nervous but angry. Who the hell do we go to? Who's going to be representing us if you guys aren't representing us? If you're not fighting for us, we're going through a difficult time in this country. We're struggling financially, and you can see it everywhere. People are paying higher prices for everything. We're all involved in that. You're involved in that. Don't stick us with the price tags without understanding. Do you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, we need to have this extra money. For what? What are you going to spend it on? What have you done with it so far? I know we've done some wonderful things in this city. Our previous mayor did some great things, but we're looking at that and saying, how about the people that are living here who have homes? I own a home. I take care of that home the best I can. I put a roof on it, paint it, repair it. All those things cost. They are costs. So I have to really scrimp. I got a need for teeth work. Well, that's $4,500. I don't have $4,500. I can't just go to work. That's why I'm 80 years old, or at 79. I will be 80. Hard to believe. But we depend on you guys. This is not a democracy, it's a republic. We always hear democracy. Yeah, well, you look at democracy and you look at socialism and communism, and they're very similar. You look at them, you can't tell the difference from them. But we're a republic. We have laws. We are represented by you represent your constituents, sorry. But I just appeal to you because I don't know where to turn. If we can't turn you guys, if you're not working for us, if you're not cutting and figuring out how we can reserve to get us through this time until we have an economy that comes back when we can actually have gas prices that we can afford, if you can't hang on with us on that, if you can't stick with us on that, then we're all going to go down together. I own a house, I take care of it. I take care of my neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. I love the people of Oswego. I love the church I go to. I just like, you know, to me, it's like, this is my home. But, you know, I see people who come in, they rent, they don't care. They don't own the house. They don't own the neighborhood. They live their life, and that's, you know, if it gets tough, they just move someplace else and do it there. And I really think that we need to hold in more esteem the people here who are householders, who are living here. It's like we're holding the values of this place. If we don't get covered by you, then the values of us, the willingness for us to pay taxes when we don't see where they're going. I don't want to just receive a letter telling me all of a sudden I owe another $900. Come up with 100, you know, where? Then I got, you know, so I've got other things that are just, we need your help. We need your help. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Evening, Your Honor, counselors. I don't know where to start, but I've listened to a lot of complaints tonight and a lot of good input. Where I disagree with the gentleman that spoke earlier when he complimented GAR, I think that one of the problems here that you're all facing is GAR. Yeah. You guys are all trying to do the right thing. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I think hiring GAR was a mistake. I don't understand the underlying devotion to these people when clearly over and over, when Mr. Hill has to see people, oh, I had to reduce his, I had to reduce his. I had Bill Myers, I've spoke to Billy many times, he had to reduce his. Every time I hear a person come in and complain, Mr. Hill has to reduce their assessment. Well, that in itself tells me GAR did a lousy job. So to me, it's pretty simple. And, well, I'm not trying to criticize any individual. Their company stinks. That's what I think. My assessment, I don't want to talk about mine, are grossly over-assessed. But that's, everybody's talking about their individual assessments, but I think it's citywide. Probably 75% of the people in this town are sick and tired of this GAR and what they've did to our community. And the counselors are having to listen to it. There's not one counselor there that can't tell me that they haven't had their constituents call them and complain. If anybody can, then tell me. So you're all paying the price for GAR and Associates. We didn't seem to have this outcry with other assessors, and I guarantee you Mr. Hill wouldn't want this brought upon himself. So to me, this legislative body, I'll respectfully address the mayor and the city attorney, but more directly, I want to talk to you counselors about what you can do legally to get rid of GAR, start this process over, go back to last year's tax. And my time in politics, what I always hated was all department heads come in and say, well, we can't do it, we can't do it. No, you're the legislative body. Ask the executive branch and the judicial branch how you can get this done. If you give me reasons why you can't do it, leave the room. But you guys, you're the people, the first line of defense, somebody said, and you are. And I know all of you to be good people. I know Tim, I know everybody here, and you're all trying to do the right thing. And this whole thing is brought on you by a company that didn't do the right thing, did a lousy job, and you're paying the price, including the mayor. Well, I understand that, but why? Of all of you, get together with the city attorney and the mayor and say, let's draft some legislation, let's do a local law to get rid of GAR. We've wasted that money, in my opinion. Okay, let's move on, because the money that's costing the taxpayers compared to what you paid GAR is nothing. And I have all the faith in the world in this administration and the mayor and in you guys to get Mr. Hill some help, if he needs help, doing a regular reval like it used to be done, and go house to house if you have to, and have a real evaluation of what the properties are actually worth, not something with a satellite imagery or the other thing. So please, as counselors and good people and members of this community, please try and draft some legislation to get rid of these people. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Can I make a clarification?
Sure, go right ahead.
First of all, thank you, Mayor Gossett. I do not mean to say anything other than the points that they had made for Gar were snarky and sarcastic to the people of Oswego. I think that that goes further into the snarky and sarcastic and overinflated assessments. I have friends who are widows who can't come to, who don't have the time or resources to come and fight the assessments that were given to them by the folks at GAR. I don't mean to be saying anything at all in praise of the work that they've done. I like what Mayor Gosick was saying in making the point that there's the opportunity to try again. Earlier I was talking about political community theater. You guys, you are all not actors in a play. You have power, you have the opportunity and the responsibility because you are our line of defense away from what's going to happen to all those hundreds of people who keep knocking on your door and ringing your phone and saying, I can't afford this. We're a community. We need to act like a community, and you all are not powerless. You're not impotent to solve this problem. Please do. Give us some time, if nothing else. You've got the power. Why not use it? Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just had one quick thing I forgot to mention. You had an article in the paper with Oswego County today, and you had some very nice comments, Mayor. And I thank you for acknowledging that, if you guys knew what was coming, you guys might have voted differently. And, you mentioned that, they kind of lied to you, and said, the ratios of who would go up and stay the same didn't come out exactly what you were told. And, I'd like to end this public session tonight by saying, by quoting you, it came as a shock to everyone, including me. I did not realize that houses would double or triple. That's what keeps me up at night. Well, we're up all night with you, Mayor, and we ask you to help us out here. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, we can start our meeting. Oh, one more. State your name and address if you could.
Brian Parkhurst, 148 West 5th. I purposely waited to be the last person up today so I could listen to what everybody else was saying. This is not going to be lengthy like my last one. You gentlemen, the public needs, they're asking you, they're begging you guys, they need transparency. Yeah. It's not that you guys are doing anything behind closed doors or behind curtains that you know of. But I'm hearing all over the board, nobody understands the most basic attributes of this assessment. So, something as basic as, who, where, can you show us what it is you're seeing? Can you explain to us, without having to take a real estate course, like what it is we're looking at? Why is it so important that we do this now? These are questions that I'm hearing all the time that nobody has quite got a specific answer to. You say that there's an inequity amongst our tax rolls. Okay, where is it? What's it look like? Show it to me. I want to see it. It's something that simple. What are you afraid of that's coming down the road when this was passed back in the previous administration? I heard multiple references to this big bad that's coming. What is that big bad? What is it that we are trying to avoid? I guess these are some of the basic questions that I'm just really having a hard time grasping myself. And it's not that we're trying to say that anybody's doing anything inherently wrong or that somebody's trying to pat somebody else on the back while, taking the food out of somebody else's mouth. No, I don't think that is the case here. Because as many people have given you all praise to be good men, I really believe that there's just a little bit of transparency, a little bit of clearing up of the murky water that would fix a lot of this. Trust. Yes, we just need a little bit more trust on both ends. Trust in us and trust in you. Yeah. So I hope moving forward, we come together. We have, Mr. Plunkett, you are the seated president of our council today. So when we have concerns from the people, you serve a very specific role, different than your other counselors. So when your other counselors are also kind of asking questions as well, it is on you that we're looking to as leadership. And it is just the same with everyone here, that I think different people take different responsibilities and they think a little differently than the others in the room. Mayor Corradino, you as well. You were the seated president of the previous council. You know more about this process than anybody else from the beginning to the end, because you're going to be the only person here at the end. When they passed this in the previous administration, it was not going to be completed. So it's now in your administration that it's going to be completed. So if there's any additional information that any of you gentlemen can give that will clear it up, just the basics, that just makes it easier for us to swallow it, that's all we're asking for. And I yield. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nobody else, we'll start our meeting in 2 minutes. Okay, time for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where'd everybody go? Please call the roll.
His Honor the Mayor.
Here.
Counselor Walton.
Here.
Counselor Burridge.
He's excused.
Counselor Vanucci.
Here.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Gosick.
Here.
Counselor Plunkett.
Here.
Counselor Allen.
Here.
6 present, 1 excused.
Thank you. Under the mayor's report, I just have a brief statement to read. Yesterday was Monday, April 8th, and it was the eclipse, which is now history. And even though the clouds came in, the event was a huge success on many levels. Saturday was Small Business Saturday, with many downtown businesses seeing increased traffic. Sunday was the West First Street Block Party with live music, entertainment, some animal zoo animals in the visitor center, and lots of food options. Monday was the big day. I think we can all remember where we were yesterday during the event. The clouds might have come in, but I think everybody overall was pretty impressed with that once-in-a-lifetime, for most of us, event. Now to some serious business. The Oswego Emergency Operations Center was opened and manned by the fire personnel. That office is over at the East Side Fire Station. I attended a briefing on the situation at 1 p.m. along with the other city employees and was given updates during the day. That event was attended by all our first responders, police, fire, also DPW personnel, economic development. All hands were on deck for that meeting. After the event, traffic was moving out of the city without issue. The Emergency Operations Center, it's not something like you would see on TV with the big, huge monitors, but it does have monitors, and they had, I think, over 17 cameras that were monitoring all the traffic. They had walkie-talkie connections with all the DPW workers at all the intersections, as well as the police officers. So they were on top of the situation. After the eclipse, as I said, the traffic was moving out of the city without issue. There were small clusters of people remaining in various areas. And this is a report, by the way, from the Operations Center before they closed down. There were no major incidents that occurred during the eclipse. All city services were intact. Emergency services, the status was normal. Event Incident Command System and the EOC, which is the Emergency Operations Center, was demobilized later in the day around 7:30. All city services were back to normal by 8 o'clock. At this time, I'd like to thank and commend a number of people that made this event safe and possible for our community. The men and women of the fire department, the police department, the Department of Public Works, who put in many long hours these past few days to make this safe, as I said. Fire Chief and Director of Emergency Management, who was in charge of the Operations Center over at the East Side Fire Station. That would be Chief Paul Canzone. Police Chief Phil Cady. Assistant Fire Chief Michael Zalewski. Deputy Police Chief Damian Waters. DPW Commissioner Craig Rebuer. And Assistant Commissioner Ron Cahill. As I said earlier, those are the leaders, but there were many, many people who were on the ground, boots on the ground. All those DPW workers, all the police officers, all the firemen and the ambulance drivers, they were out there making it safe for everybody when our city was inundated by thousands of visitors. Not to mention the volunteers who manned the city's visitor center on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, handing out eclipse glasses and information to people who were visiting. I'd like to mention a special recognition for our Community Development Director, Amy Murphy, and the 2 economic specialists under her charge, Maddie Pete and Abby Jenkins, who not only worked long hours on Sunday and Saturday, but worked many months before this past weekend. We actually started this planning about 12 months ago for this. People don't realize all the planning and all the work that went into this. And they were right there in the beginning, those 3 people. On top of it, they had to plan 2 entirely different events. One on Sunday, which was the block party, where you have to get all the entertainment, you have to get all the vendors, you have to get all the music, you have to do all that planning and coordinating. They did that on Sunday. Then they had to plan a totally different event on Monday, which was at Brightback Park. That's a lot of work for 3 people. And I know that they started a year ago, but that still is a lot of people to plan, coordinate, and to actually run for 2 days. I imagine they were very tired today. So again, I'd like to thank everybody in city government who helped make this a safe and an event that no one got hurt at, and we all enjoyed it. Is there any comments from the council on this? At this time, please call Resolution 94.
Approved minutes, common council meeting held March 25th, 2024.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Plunkett. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Call Resolution 95.
Appoint Commissioner of Deeds.
Counselor Walton, Counselor Benucci. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 96.
Approve use of public space, Michelle Merritt, in order to host the St. Mary's Bazaar to be held July 19th and 20th, 2024.
Counselor Benucci, Counselor Plunkett. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Call Resolution 97.
Approve use of public space, Oswego City County Youth Bureau, in order to host the Santa Express Jingle and Mingle to be held December 14th, 2024.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Gosick. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 98.
Approve use of public space, Oswego Rental Properties 2 LLC, owner of a commercial property located at 119 West 4th Street, to have a curb cut.
Counselor Allen, Counselor Gosick. Any comments? Yes, Counselor.
Yep, I spoke on this last week. Just wanted to mention that this house is directly next to my house, so I'll be the one directly affected by this. Currently, there's a driveway 7 feet wide on the south side of this house, and it's just not enough space to fit a car. So this is to put a curb cut in, to put a driveway in just north of the property, the house. So I support this, and I hope the council can support this.
Thank you, Counselor Benucci. Anybody else? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Call Resolution 99.
Approve use of public space, Market House Oswego LLC, owner of a commercial property located at 1 West Bridge Street, to install a transformer.
Counselor Gosick, Counselor Walton. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 100.
Authorize mayor to enter into renewal agreement with Step 1 Creative for website maintenance for 1-year term.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Plunkett. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Call Resolution 101.
Authorize mayor to enter into a joint defense agreement with the Oswego City School District, and further authorization to seek professional appraisal services.
Counselor Gosick, Counselor Benucci. Any comments from the council? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton.
Yes.
Counselor Benucci.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gosick.
Yes.
Counselor Plunkett.
Yes.
Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Resolution passes 601.
Please call Resolution 102.
Authorize mayor to enter into agreement with Michelle Porter to sell a parcel of land located along East Seneca Street.
That's Michael Porter.
Sorry.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Benucci. Any comments? I just want to mention that Counselor Burge is not here, and he helped broker this deal. Michael Porter came to him and asked for this, and We discussed it at committee, as all of you remember, and I believe this is a fair and equitable deal. So I'm sure Councilor Burge would appreciate your support on this. Any other comments from the council? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen? Yes. Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Please call Resolution 103.
Approve attendance of 3 animal control staff members for training in Webster, New York, to be held May 1st and 2nd, 2024.
Councilor Vanucci, Councilor Plunkett. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen? Yes. Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Please call Resolution 104.
Motion to rescind resolution number 69 dated March 11th, 2024.
Councilor Walton, Councilor Allen. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen? Yes. Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Please call Resolution 105.
Approve bid submitted from multiple contractors for miscellaneous electrical services.
Councilor Plunkett, Councilor Vanucci, any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Call Resolution 106.
Authorize City Chamberlain to complete 2 transfers of funds in the total amount of $6,000 to cover costs for a records intern in the city clerk's office.
Councilor Gosick, Councilor Walton. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Call Resolution 107.
Authorize City Chamberlain to complete a budget amendment to the computer contracted services account in the amount of $8,023.32 for costs associated with employee security testing.
Councilor Plunkett, Councilor Walton. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Please call Resolution 108.
Waive rules of common council to present resolution number 109 from the floor without committee consideration.
Councilor Gosick, Councilor Walker. Any comments? Please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Please call Resolution 109.
Approve use of public space, Brickell Mazzoli and the Oswego YMCA in order to host an Earth Day cleanup to be held April 22nd, 2024.
Real quick, this was a item that Councilor Vanucci asked to be added on. There is a time component to this. Earth Day, this event is going to happen April 22nd, and if we waited for the next council cycle to go through, April 22nd is a Monday, and that's when we would be voting on it, the same day. So, Councilor Vanucci, would you like to say something before we proceed?
Thanks, Mayor. So Brickell Mazzoli reached out to me. She's the family programming director of the YMCA here in Oswego, and she's looking to do a 2-hour cleanup of the park, Franklin Square Park, and getting students involved to clean up the leaves, clean up the garbage, and overall great event for the community to celebrate Earth Day. So,
All right, very good. Anybody else? Please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. Almost jumped the gun here. Almost perfect, too, tonight. Councilor Allen, Councilor Walton. Now call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen? Yes. Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Any unfinished business from the council? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Councilor Vanucci, Councilor Allen, please call the roll.
Counselor Walton?
Yes.
Counselor Vanucci?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Gosick? Yes. Counselor Plunkett?
Yes.
Counselor Allen? Yes. Resolution passes 6-0-1.
Thank you, everyone.